I'd like to call the City of Elkhorn Common Council September 18th, 2023, 5:30 meeting to order, please. Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Bruce Lechner,
Here.
Tim Sharota,
Here.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Here.
Ron Dunwoody,
Here.
Scott McClory is absent, Ken Minell,
Here.
Carol Young.
Here.
Next, moving on to public comment. Anybody here for public comment tonight? Okay, I just need to read a statement, and then I'll have you come up and state your name and address. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes each. The public may speak on any item on the city concern, whether or not the topic is included on this agenda. However, if the topic does not pertain to an item listed on the council agenda, the council is not permitted to address or discuss the matter during this meeting. Under open meeting laws, the council must notice an item on the agenda to allow discussion on that matter. If council is not permitted to discuss your concerns, your comments will be considered and may be placed on a future agenda for further discussion. You can please come up and state your name and address.
My name is Greg Mueller. I live at 221 North Washington Street. Now, I want to start with this 544, trying to change them to M1. Your guys' definition of M1 is not a towing company. Your definition of M1 is not a trucking company. Your definition is manufacturing. If we're going to change that, you guys aren't obeying by your own ordinances, your own definitions. I mean, it opens you up to litigation. I mean, you guys aren't following your own rules. You're just letting anybody do anything you guys want. You guys really need to stop that. You guys have been just changing this M1 for this outdoor storage stuff. I mean, I've got court paperwork saying this outdoor storage, we can't have outdoor storage. That was sworn testimony to the judge, Judge Reddy. So you guys are on this outdoor storage thing. Well, that's perjury. I mean, honestly, you guys need to stop. And, we're going to put this car dealer thing here, this towing company, right next to our power grid. And he brings in a Tesla or something that starts on fire. Can't put it out, burns down our thing. I mean, we just can't be doing this stuff. You got to stick with your ordinances. If you're either going to go one way or the other way, either everybody gets outdoor storage or nobody gets outdoor storage, or a B2 business is B2 business, a manufacturing business, we allow that to be manufacturing. What, a Generac can come in there and just start manufacturing right next to a home? I mean, I got the next door neighbor's signature. He don't want it there. Nobody wants it there. All the towing guys were here. We were here at the last meeting. There's a little bit of thing going on at the last meeting. I think the last meeting should be voided out. What's going on? I do not understand what's going on, but I'm starting to get to the bottom of things. I'm starting to find a lot of stuff. I sent out an email. There's a lot of stuff going on. I got people trespassing on my property. Everybody's being notified. There's laws that are being broken. There's open laws that have been broken, and I'm finding them. And we need to get to the bottom of this stuff, or else, there's going to be stuff happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? If not, we'll close public comment. Next, consent agenda. Council fine with everything together in council, or anything need to be pulled out, council members?
I'd like them separated, please.
You want to separate? Sure, we can do that. First, we have the common council meeting minutes, September 5th, 2023. Everybody had that in their packet?
Make a motion to approve. A second. There
We
you
have
go.
a motion and a second for the meeting minutes. Any discussion, changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed for the council meeting minutes of September 5th, 2023. Next, Financial and Judicial Committee meeting minutes, September 7th, 2023.
I move we approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed for the Financial and Judicial Committee meeting minutes of September 7th. Next, we have the temporary Class B beer license for the Warwick County Agricultural Society at the Warwick County Fairgrounds Rodeos. The attached list of event dates and times.
So I do have a question on that.
Okay.
So have we had any more complaints over in that area, Chief, about noise?
Not that I'm aware. Not that I'm aware of. I did look for anything from this past weekend. I didn't see anything that came in from this past weekend.
Okay. And Scott's not here because that's his area, but I just want to make sure that things are settled between the neighbors and fairgrounds, that everything that they were working on together was resolved. And, that everybody's aligned. So that's my question.
I mean, Larry's not here to answer that question, but
Yeah, I know.
I guess if chief hasn't had any complaints,
Yeah,
We haven't received anything either.
okay.
I mean, I would just say in fairness, I know we have one staff member who lives somewhere in that, oh, Tim's here. So I don't know, Tim commented this morning in our staff meeting, he thought it seemed particularly loud this weekend, so, but I'm just throwing that out there that somebody who lives in that vicinity thought it was noisy, but as the chief said, we didn't receive any complaints, so.
any other questions? Or do I have a motion?
I move we approve the Class B licenses for the dates and times listed.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed for the temporary Class B beer license for the Walworth County Fairgrounds Rodeos with the attached list of event dates and times. Next, we have the temporary Class B beer license and Class B wine license for Friends of Matheson Memorial Library at 101 North Wisconsin Street, Trick or Trivia, October 28, 2023, from 6 to 10 p.m.
I move we approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed for the Friends of Matheson Memorial Library, October 28th, temporary Class B beer and Class B wine license from 6 to 10 p.m. Next, we have the change order number 2 for the 2023 East Centralia Street Reconstruction Project in the amount of $42,683.24.
I'll make a motion to approve change order number 2.
We have a motion to approve change order number 2. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Yes?
Carol Young,
Yes.
Tim Sharota,
Yes.
Ken Minell,
Yes.
Ron Dunwoody.
Motion passed for change order number 2. Next, bills payable, consideration and recommendation to pay. The bills this month, $2,916,542.35. They're all in your packet. Is there any questions or discussion?
I'll make a motion to pay the bills as set amount.
We have a motion to pay. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Ken Minell,
Yes.
Ron Dunwoody. Gary Payson Jr.,
Yes?
Tim Sharota,
Yes.
Carol Young.
Yes.
Motion passed to pay the bills. Next, report of city officers, mayor. First on the list, we have swearing in of interim municipal judge Michael Cotter. And our city attorney is going to take care of that. If you want to come up to the podium and
Michael?
Hey there.
Hi. So if you'd raise your right hand. I, Michael Cotter,
I, Michael Cotter,
having been elected or appointed to the office of the City of Elkhorn Municipal Judge,
having been appointed to the office of City of Elkhorn Municipal Judge,
but have not yet entered upon the duties thereof,
but have not yet entered upon the duties thereof,
swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office
and will faithfully discharge duties of said office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my
So
ability.
help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
welcome.
I'll sign this copy.
Yep.
Yes, please.
Okay, and Mr. Mayor, if I could, I just wanted to thank you for choosing me to help fill in the interim. What I would offer, I know you have a lengthy agenda, but I'll put this offer and you can take it or leave it, but I'd be happy to meet with you in another setting or at another meeting to discuss the future of your court. I think I'm impartial. I have no stake in it at all. I think I could provide some insight. I've been the municipal judge in the Village of East Troy since the year 2000, and I serve on the judicial education committees across the state. So I see every size court from the city of Milwaukee down to Denise, Gibbons, and Sharon. So I have some experience that I think I could provide some insight. The one thing I say, the judge is the easy part. The clerk is the tough one. And with her upcoming retirement, that's going to be, in my opinion, your greatest challenge. So, but I'd be happy to meet with you further. If you ever need anything, feel free to give me a call. Claudia knows where to find me, as she's determined, or she's made that known already, so she knows where to find me. So thank you again.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have the swearing in of our new city treasurer, Christopher Sprigler. If you can come up to the podium.
Hello, Mr. Sprigler.
Hello.
If you'd raise your right hand.
Absolutely.
I, Christopher Sprigler,
I, Christopher Sprigler,
having been appointed to the office of city treasurer,
having been appointed to the office of city treasurer,
but have not yet entered upon the duties thereof,
but have not yet entered upon the duties thereof,
swear or affirm
swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability.
and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. I will just say thank you very much for the opportunity, and I look forward to meeting all of you. I'm sure we've got good months and years ahead of us.
Thank you. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Chris.
Next, I would like to do a proclamation for the City of Elkhorn Chamber of Commerce for the month of September. The chamber does a lot and everything in town, a lot of events they carry. So I'd like to make the month of September City Chamber of Commerce Month. Chris, I'll present this to you.
Thank you. Just to fill in, it's actually the whole state. September throughout the state of Wisconsin is, no, I just did it for us, but it's for the state of Wisconsin.
Thank you. I need that back, Chris.
Okay.
I'll scan you a copy.
You're Chris.
You'll get a copy.
And then I just have one more. Matt, is there, or Mike, maybe any update on Centralia Street? How's that coming along?
I have an update I can
If you could,
provide.
please.
I talked to Wyatt this morning. By the end of this week, they should have all the storm sewer in, so that's good. At least all the underground pipe work. They'll be adjusting inlets and that sort of thing as we move forward. As far as excavation for the roadway, they've made it to the west side of the U, and hope to get to Getson, I think within the next week or so. So it's progressing.
Okay.
I think that, one of the biggest hurdles with a project this size is the underground utilities. So we're getting there. I mean, I know that October's fastly approaching, but they've had 2 crews on site. I think they continue to have 2. So hopefully we'll continue to see them stay on their new schedule. They are about a week, like I think I mentioned this last time, they're about a week behind from their initial schedule. But in talking with Kapoor, we thought that was probably justifiable because of the utility conflicts that were out there. So
Okay, that's why I wanted to ask, because October's coming up. And
it is fast approaching. Yep.
so, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Next, I'll move on to Adam, City Administrator.
Just a couple quick updates. We're continuing to work on the 2024 budget. So we are looking to present that to the council, a preliminary budget for the first meeting in October. We're waiting on a couple state aid updates. The Walworth County Economic Development Alliance is having the first ever housing summit next Monday, September 25th. They're bringing together all the municipalities in the county with developers just to try and help developers learn about the county, but also provide connections with the communities. So I'll be going to that, speaking on a panel. And then just 2 other things. We are continuing to work with Creekside on their general development plan. That's scheduled to be before the Planning Commission on October 5th, so mark that on your calendars. And then lastly, we did receive a response from the PSC about our rate case application, so they sent us a pretty lengthy list of questions, which Corey's been working on with some of the other people in the office, so that is moving forward as well. And those are it for my updates.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Next, reports of city boards and community partners. Fire advisory, Rod?
The next meeting is actually October 27th.
Okay. Next, moving on to library.
Over to Chad.
Good evening, everyone. Just a quick report on how our summer reading program went this year. We finally exceeded pre-COVID levels, so we're very proud of that. All told, we had 2,523 books read by adults, with 367 people attending our programs. We had 1,467 children participate in our kids reading program, with 3,343 kids attending and 29,308 children's books circulated this summer. Even with the teens, we had 145 teens, which is a tough nut to crack, and 644 attendants, and a total of 3,362 circulations. So we are back. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Recreation advisory?
We met last week with the Park and Rec Board, but our next meeting is October 11th, 5:30 here at City Hall.
Okay, thank you. Chamber of Commerce? Chris, I think you're back up.
Chris is up.
Just real quick, I know I missed July and August. I was on vacation, and somehow I sent an email and we didn't get it to Ken in time. But just to follow up on a couple things, obviously July we had Rib Fest, which was a great success. We had some rain on the first 3 days, but it did not hamper the totals of attendance, which is calculated at over 100,000 people for those 6 days, which is a great event for our community. Also, Das Fest, which was in the beginning of August, was a great event. It's a 3-day. It was its 3rd year, and it was very well received by those individuals that attend that type of German event. We have our Truck and Chuck, which is at the end of July, which some of you that have been in the area was the old corn and brat. It is condensed into a single day. I think we went through over 105 dozen ears of corn, locally sourced by the Papkes and cooked by volunteers here. So it's a very good day. The Walworth County Fair was a beautiful weather. Sunday and Monday were a little bit toasty in locations, depending on where you were, but I do not think it affected any attendance. The concert, the diversity of the concert was great, having the country, the old 80s, 90s rock, and then a Christian band. I think those were very well received. On the tourism standpoint, the Chamber has had 2 social media influencers that have been in the area that have been very well received. Sometimes they come in the area, may not have necessarily gotten a spectacular review, or they may have had a bad experience, i.e. a parking ticket for $50 in a neighboring community. But we didn't have any of that. They were very well received with going and having ice cream, going to a unique bar, going to Doosterbecks, going to Rib Fest, going to the Walworth County Fair, different things. So that is something new that we've been doing. If you know, influencers on social media are huge. So we took a step out of our box that we've done in the past, and we actually, it was a contracted service, but we don't pay for good reviews. We pay for them to come stay. We give them ideas where to go, and they go from there. So also last week, we had travel writers from all over the United States in Walworth County. They were in multiple places here in Elkhorn or the surrounding area. Doosterbecks, the Apple Barn, again, some different locations, just some unique things. They will also be here at the end of September. The end of September is for a fall review. And you have to remember, these travel writers come in, find a story, find something that they're passionate about. They may be a golfer. They may be an antiques type of person. They will write an article and then submit it to like the New York Times or to different things like that and hope it gets printed. And Last year, one of ours did get printed earlier this spring. They visited Camp Wandawega. If anybody has been out there and seen the uniqueness of Camp Wandawega, it was over 1 million views and stuff on social media. So it's a great thing that we do. Again, the fall one that will be here, they will be doing like the pumpkins and the apples at Kettle Moraine, the biking and different things for a fall activity. And at the end of the month, Walworth County is again hosting what we call the WCCE, which is the Wisconsin Chamber of Commerce Executives. We will all be at the Abbey. There are 72 counties. All 72 counties will be represented from there. Out of the 283 or 85 chambers that are in the state of Wisconsin, almost 200 will be represented that we will be staying at the Abbey. So it will be a great opportunity to promote Elkhorn and our community. So if anybody has any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Chris. Next, we have Katie, our community grant writer.
Hi, everyone. Just to let you know, I raised a little over $100,000 in the last month in different projects for the school district and the community. And starting next week, I'm going to be circulating my community wish list. These are, I told you before, it's the projects I couldn't get across the finish line with conventional grants. So I created a booklet that I'm going to start targeting and talking to community and civic groups about possibly funding it locally. So I tried federal, I tried state, and now I'm going to try sourcing the funding locally. So wish me luck.
Thank you, Katie. Next, committee reports, Financial and Judicial Committee.
I've got that. The Financial and Judicial Committee met on Thursday, September 7th. Topics discussed were the 2024 to 2028 CIP. The committee asked staff to look at the 2024 CIP for savings of up to $500,000. This item is under new business on today's agenda. We also discussed the 2024 budget, and Administrator Swan will be discussing this in more detail at a future meeting. And lastly, we spoke about the future of the municipal court and staffing. The committee reviewed keeping or removing the court, moving the court to the city administration offices, changing the court clerk to a part-time position, training and timeline for a new court clerk. The court clerk position may change to part-time, but the budget will account for a full-time position.
Thank you, Tim. Moving on to new business. First, we have A, discussion on possible decision regarding ordinance number 23-10, an ordinance to rezone the parcel located at 544 South Lincoln Street, tax key YP00030, from RS1 to single residential district to M-1 light manufacturing district. First and possible second reading. I'm going to have Allison, if you can give a little update to the members first before we move on to this one, because this one, the way this one goes, B might not be discussed if it's.
Sure, thank you. So this is a rezone for just a small portion of the parcel. The majority of this parcel is zoned M1 currently, and it has been for quite some time. There's a small portion in the rear of the property, I would say 25% or less of the property that's currently zoned RS1, single family residential. To be consistent, they petitioned for a rezone to have the entire parcel rezoned to M1, which is consistent with our 2040 land use plan. Does anyone have any questions for me specifically?
Is M1 consistent with like the businesses across the street or around the corner on Deer Road? Are those all M1?
Yes, majority of those properties are zoned M1 or M2.
So would a towing company be considered manufacturing?
A towing company wouldn't be considered manufacturing. However, our manufacturing district does allow for companies such as a towing company or something of that nature. It's kind of a wide variety of businesses that are allowed within our light manufacturing district.
Has anybody talked to the neighbors about this?
I don't believe anyone from the city has personally talked to the neighbors. I haven't received anything from any of the neighbors. However, all of the property owners within 200 feet were notified via mail that there would be a public hearing at our plan commission meeting.
And no neighbors showed up.
No.
Any other questions for Allison?
So Matt, you brought this up on the screen. Can you describe what the properties are?
Sure, I can do that. So this is the parcel here. Correct me if I'm wrong, Allison, but.
Yes.
This is the parcel here, and then this back is zoned currently as
RS1, single
RS1.
family.
And then the front end is zoned
M1.
M1, so that the rezone is to turn all of this into M1, is that correct?
Yes.
So there's that line that's right here.
The green dotted line?
Yeah, that green dot, it's very faint, but yeah, you kind of see it there. So I'd say, roughly speaking, maybe 2/3 of the parcel is already M1, and then the back third roughly is RS1.
And does the property, the front half, does it have any approvals to do something, or besides what's on the agenda currently?
No, as of right now, there's no current approvals or business occupancy for that site.
May I ask a question? Is the portion that's RS1, is that buildable?
I don't believe so. There is some abandoned, I think there's an abandoned easement running through that, and possible I think there's some manholes back there maybe. So I don't believe any of it's buildable for single family.
And there's really no houses close by, correct?
There is one single family just north of the property, I guess. There's a small ranch style home there.
That one, okay.
Yep.
These are all residential
Yeah,
here.
those are residential.
And then behind the parcel, these are residential off of Wisconsin as well.
Councilmember, any other questions for Allison?
So staff's recommendation is to make it all M1. And I guess my concern is if we're going to change it, we probably should try to get it right.
Correct. Staff recommends approval of the rezone because it is consistent with our 2040 land use plan.
That is the way it came out of Plan Commission too. Ken, do you have anything to add? You were at Plan Commission.
Yeah, it did come out of planning commission. I think it was 5-1, 5 in favor, 1 against, for the rezone. And again, we went with staff's recommendation, basically.
If we shoot this down, it stays M1 and RS1.
Correct.
Could they still run a business on the front end?
What's that?
They could still run a business here.
They could, you'd have a landlocked square.
They'd still be able to run the business on the front half if they got a conditional use permit, correct?
Correct,
'Cause it is
yes.
M1.
They just would not be able to use the portion that is zoned for single family. And I believe making it M1 to be consistent across the parcel would be, in my opinion, more desirable for the city just because it does meet our 2040 land use plan of industrial. It's more uncommon to see something zoned single family when our land use plan says that it should be industrial.
And this is a first reading, and it can be waived to go to the second reading too, if council would like it.
I'd make a motion to waive the first reading.
We have a motion to waive the first reading. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion. That's in favor of the rezone, correct?
Just the first reading.
Right. To waive it, yeah. So So we have a motion to waive and a second. Any other questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Ken Minell,
Yes.
Carol Young,
Yes.
Tim Sharota,
Yes.
Gary Payson Jr.,
No.
Ron Dunwoody.
No.
Motion did pass to waive the first reading. Do I have a motion for second and final?
I'd like to make a motion to send it back to Plan Commission for more detail.
We have a motion to send it back. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to send back to Plan Commission. Any other further questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Yes.
Ron Dunwoody,
Yes.
Ken Minell,
Yes.
Carol Young,
Yes.
Tim Sharota.
Yes.
Motion passed to send it back to Plan Commission for more further information to bring back to council. Okay. So,
Can I ask a question?
sure.
I'm gonna have to sit at Plan Commission, and I'm gonna have to try to direct them, and as is Allison, what kind of information should we be looking for?
Well, I think we got to get more involved in what's going on around that neighborhood and with what we're looking at doing across the street.
On the rezone issue?
Yep.
Okay.
It's all involved in that.
Okay.
You know, because it is part of the future. So, and I am concerned about being right next door to residents. I know it's been like this for however many years. It doesn't make it right.
Okay.
So we should spend more time at the committee levels and get it
I would
right.
like staff or city staff to get in touch individually with each residential neighbor around there, not just a letter. I want
Face to face.
documented.
Yep. Face to face, have a conversation. Need to know what, they need to clearly understand what's going on as well.
I guess I'd like to know if we have other options than M1
Okay.
in there.
So Allison, you
for the
heard
whole property.
things that the council's looking for, so if you can get that before we go back to Plan Commission with it.
Sure, definitely, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I have a question, Ward.
Yeah.
Do we, because this cannot happen with that.
Well, you have to have the rezone for the conditional.
Right, so I,
Well, I guess they could make the conditional use, but I guess the question I have is, does the applicant want it for only the smaller portion? Or did their application only address if they got the rezone? I don't know that answer.
Their application didn't specify, unfortunately, so I am not sure. I don't believe there's a representative here today.
so what I'll do, we'll still do this and council can move on from either deny or approve the conditional use.
I would say from from planning commission that the person that wanted the conditional use wanted basically the back part, which we're talking about right now, whether we're gonna rezone that or not. So I don't feel that if he couldn't get that rezoned where he could use it, he's not gonna want it. Allison, do you agree with that part? Or?
I think he does want that space.
Yes.
I don't know if it would be a deal breaker for him, but I do know that that extra space would be only a benefit to him.
So it would be, I think it would be consistent if you were gonna send the rezone back to Plan Commission for further consideration, that you send this back, so that we can consider it as a.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna do.
Okay.
That's what I was gonna bring up, but. So discussion and possible decision regarding conditional use permit for Lee Lovall to use the property at 544 South Lincoln Street for a towing business, One Time Towing LLC. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to send it back to Plan Commission.
Okay, we have a motion to send it back to Plan Commission. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion?
I guess I'd like to see, just hearing about what happened at Planning Commission. I don't believe the gentleman was there, and I don't believe there was a accurate site plan presented. I guess I'd like to see those things and have Planning Commission. And I'd like him there, if you're gonna put conditions on his business, he should be there to say yay or nay.
And I'll just add to that, I think that was part of the problem, is that he wasn't there. And I think there was a lot of questions that only he could answer. Okay, the current owner was there, but the person that owner was asking for the rezone and he was asking for conditional use. The new buyer. I believe he's trying to purchase the property. But when he wasn't there, there was a lot of things I think that the commission itself wanted to ask, but there's nobody to answer those questions.
Then it should have never left Plan Commission. I don't know if I'm able to say here, but it should never left Plan Commission then.
Well,
I'm
when
sure
somebody,
you say whatever you want.
when somebody makes a motion.
When somebody makes a motion and a
You get a
second,
second, Gary, you
you
have to
have,
move.
you have to move forward.
I understand it, but
So-
then someone should have made a motion that no one was there, that we're not going to proceed until someone's there.
That
So-
wasn't made.
But
so-
I'm not there, so.
I will say this from a procedural standpoint. We get applicants for conditional uses all the time that don't show up because they may not necessarily know there's going to be anything controversial about what they're doing, and they're passed regularly. It is not a requirement that they be present, but they face the consequences if they're not.
Right.
So Allison, if you could let them know too that,
Yes, I can.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you. So motion passed on the, send it back.
Was there a vote?
No. You
On the
didn't.
second
you wanna
motion,
do a
you
roll
don't have
call
that
Wait a
motion
second.
to send the second.
Can I get
back.
a, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Next, we have discussion and possible decision regarding ordinance number 23-11, an ordinance to rezone the parcel located at 7 South Lincoln Street, tax key YRW 00025, from B1 Central Business District to P1 Park District. First and possible second reading. That's the property by Chamber of Commerce Building.
I make a motion to waive the
waive
first.
reading.
There you go, I'll take second, you can have first.
We have a motion to waive the first reading. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, or
Aye.
more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed for the waiving the first reading. Do I have a motion for a second?
I would make the motion to approve.
I'd second.
We have a motion to approve and a second, ordinance number 23-11. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed for ordinance number 23-11, the rezone of the parcel located at 7 South Lincoln Street. Next, discussion and possible decision regarding conditional use permit for Smooth Operations Incorporated to have outdoor storage located at 700 County Highway H.
So I have questions.
Yes.
So what are they planning on storing there? This is the LP plant building right now, correct?
Yes, this is the currently AmeriGas building. And they are intending to store basically truck and trailer, like semi-trailer, with occasional shipments of generators, I believe. They are like I guess, a middleman for generators before they get shipped out to their final destination.
Okay, so similar to like when it was CF? That's probably before your time.
Sounds about right, though.
That's
Yeah.
about right, Gary.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Historically, the property has always been used for something similar to that nature. And they're coming to the Plan Commission and the City of Elkhorn Council to request a conditional use permit to get out of that legal non-conformity. They want to come into full compliance with our code now, which is why technically you could say that maybe they might be grandfathered in at this point, but they're coming forward. They've already rezoned the property, and now they are requesting that conditional use so that they're in full compliance with our current code.
Okay, thank you.
I would make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed for the conditional use permit for Smooth Operations at 700 County Highway H. Next, we have thank you, Allison, for everything. Next, discussion and possible decision regarding proposed resolution 23-24. A resolution approving a development agreement between the City of Elkhorn and Creekside Community Development, LLC, for development of Creekside Community in TID number 4. I know Creekside's here if there's any questions or anything.
I guess start off, looks like everything that we discussed was added in. Everybody's on board with it?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Good. I make a motion to approve resolution 23-24.
We have a motion to approve resolution 23-24. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Yes.
Ron Dunwoody,
Yes.
Tim Sharota,
Yes.
Ken Minell,
Yes.
Carol Young.
Yes.
Motion passed on resolution 23-24. Thank you, guys. Next, discussion and possible decision regarding proposed contract between Municipal Services Bureau and City of Elkhorn to provide city with online payment acceptance solution for property taxes. That was in your packet. Any questions for anybody? Or do I have a motion?
So move.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion?
Was this something that people were asking for?
This is something that the city had previously allowed people to pay. You could pay online previously. We have a current provider, but the provider charges a higher dollar fee. They charge $3 to use the sort of e-check, and the new company would only charge $1. So there's a savings there. The current provider charges 3.6% to use credit cards and debit cards. The new provider would only charge 2.6, so there'd be a percentage savings. So that might encourage more people to use it. Plus, this system is actually intended to work well with the county's land suite, whereas under the current system, our personnel had to hand enter in the information, so it's going to remove a step from the city. I know this is something the finance director wanted to do last year. Corey, I don't know if you want to add some more information on that, or?
It was brought to our attention, I think during tax time, that it was available and we weren't aware of it, so we couldn't get into it then, but it's definitely supposed to work well with the tax program with the county that we recede into, and it would be more beneficial now with the interest rate being lower for the residents. Not a lot of people pay their taxes with credit card, but we were having people pay with e-check, and it's definitely cheaper that way too.
Are we getting rid of the other one we use so they won't have to do the extra work?
Correct.
Yay.
Any other further discussion? So we have a motion to approve and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Ken Minell,
Yes.
Ron Dunwoody,
Yes.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Yes.
Carol Young,
Yes.
Tim Sharota.
Yes.
Motion approved for the Municipal Services Bureau and City of Elkhorn to provide city with online payment acceptance solutions for property taxes. Next, discussion and possible decision regarding proposed 2024 to 2028 capital improvement plan. A lot of things going on there.
Yeah, as Alderman Sharota talked about, we had the F&J committee meeting about a week ago, and the committee asked the committee asked the staff to come back with some proposed cuts of up to $500,000. So, and as a preliminary matter, we have to cut at least $100,000 because of our budget, I should say our debt limit. So that's something to keep in mind when looking at this. We tried to propose these options to the council based upon a 3-tier structure, yellow being sort of, I'm not going to say least painful because obviously everything's painful, but yellow was sort of, it would cause the least amount of impact on city operations and city safety. There's an orange category, which is tier 2, which would be sort of more substantive impacts. And then there's 2 items on here that were in red that we just wanted to label as being, having the biggest impact on safety and operations. And so just as far as the 2 red ones, one was a replacement recreational vehicle. We budgeted $40,000 for that because right now, the rec department used to have a vehicle that they'd use when, picking up supplies, transporting staff, but they never got it replaced. So right now they're just using their own personal vehicles, which is not great for our staff. So that's why that one would be, we put that as a tier 3 potential cut. And then the other one was the new 39-acre property the city purchased, which we have just affectionately called Rolling Creek Park, but that's just as a placeholder. So the council decides what to do with that. But right now, as you know, there's a house that's on that property that needs to be removed, and so that's also a safety safety hazard having that house up right now that's, pretty dilapidated. So those are the two we marked red. The band shell restoration, we budgeted $100,000 for next year. To 20,000 of that would be approximately 20,000 would be to hire a consultant to do an assessment in order for the city to apply for any grants, which Katie James, our grant writer, is very optimistic that we would qualify for a lot of different grants. We're very optimistic this project will qualify for grants. So, but in order to do that, we have to have an assessment done that complies with the State Historical Society. So we budgeted some money to do that study and also some money to start with the architectural and engineering services as part of that project. Hopefully we could get that engineering AE services covered by grants as well. We just don't know. So as of this point, we know the bare minimum the city would have to front would be 25 to 50,000 to do the assessment from the Historical Society. We know that's going to be a minimum. But if for some reason we can't get the grants to cover the engineering and architectural services, then we're budgeting some money for that. And this is also something that we're optimistic that we could also get, donations from the community as well. It's not just grants, but we've had people express interest in making donations too. So, and this project, there's a 100-year anniversary for the band shell in 2026, which is part of the reason we're trying to get it done in the next couple of years, with the thought that if we could have it finished by 2026, it'd make for a pretty exciting celebration. And then there's just about a half a dozen yellow items you'll see on here, which I can go into more detail if you want, or I can just, I don't know if council's got any questions thus far, or if you guys have any comments about the yellow items.
I do. So for like taking down the house on the new park, do we have money in the park fund to pay for that? So it wouldn't come out of the capital?
Right now, the park fund's got about $120,000, so it could theoretically pay for, assuming that it takes $50,000 to take down the house.
Because back when we were originally talking about that property, it would be not any kind of constraint on the city. It would come out of park funds. So there's 50 grand, about. Just an idea.
If there's, if the council wants to take that off the list, or I should say not take it off the list, but remove it from the general obligation funding and have that paid for with park funds, we can do that.
That was one of the things about, spending the money on buying the property. When we were sitting there talking about it, that was my concern, is putting more financial stress on the city, especially when we have park funds available and we're getting the property for such a price. Because it is actually a park, so park money, park. So just my 2 cents.
Council members, any other questions for Adam?
Well, and just as far as to follow up on Alderman Payson's comments, that's another option too with the band shell restoration, is that we do have, like I said, about 130,000 in park funds available. So we could pay for the assessment using those funds, but it would certainly draw down the park fund if we use the money both to, let's say, remove the house and to do the assessment. But it's feasible and we can do that. So those are options. I don't know if council has any questions, whether does council want us to, at a minimum, remove the items in yellow from the 2024 CIP, or just looking for some guidance for staff?
Council?
I would say yellow at a minimum. But that's my 2 cents.
Can we remove the yellow? And I'm all for the band shell, but could we do the feasibility study, which I think you said 25,000?
We've been given a range of 25 to 50, which I know is a pretty big range, but
Well, maybe reduce it from 100 then to 50 on the band shell item. But I think the study should be done, so then we know where we're at for future budgeting.
Right, and if you're gonna get the grants or not.
Do you want to see the study come out of the park fund too, or
No, I don't think we want to deplete it for both, would be my thought, but.
That's, I'm just,
There would actually be one benefit to doing it out of the park fund, and just that technically, if we're doing a assessment, you wouldn't be a general obligation bond, it'd be more of a promissory note, which is gonna cause more expense and administrative costs. And if it's only 25,000, to do the assessment, let's say, it's probably would save the city money just to pay it out of park funds,
Park fund it is.
so.
any other thing council members would like to see that Adam could change and bring back to council then? Okay, Adam, if you could do those changes, and then we'll bring it back to the next council meeting and take a look at it again.
Well, I will do. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Next, discussion and possible decision regarding pay grade for the newly created Assistant Fire Chief position. Adam,
So,
you're up again.
yeah, this is a position that the city we've been looking at filling for, what, a couple years, Chief? I don't know when it first came up. About 2 years ago. The city was planning on hiring one. I know it's been a lengthy process. There's been several rounds and candidates fell through, et cetera. And we budgeted for this year, we had budgeted approximately 85,000 for this position. Unfortunately, there was a disconnect between what was the budget amount as just a planning tool and actually setting, getting the position on the step structure. So with that, the good news is that the Police and Fire Commission has found a candidate and made a tentative offer, conditional offer. But before we obviously formally send the offer letter to the candidate, we need to know what pay grade and position, or what pay grade the Assistant Fire Chief should be on. So as I indicated in my memo, right now, the captain is on a pay grade, can't read that. Captain's currently on a pay grade, Matt, wow. Pay grade 17. And, we understand that this position is comparable to what a captain would do. On the other hand, so one option is you put it on a pay grade 17 with the police captain. On the flip side, we know that, the council previously had the police chief at a pay grade 20, and the fire chief at pay grade 19. So if you're intending on keeping a one pay grade difference between the police chief and fire chief, do you do the same thing and keep a one pay grade difference between the police captain and the assistant fire chief? So another option is you slide it into pay grade 16, or you guys can put the assistant fire chief somewhere else. Some options at a minimum would be either pay grade 16 or pay grade 17, or two options. And we would have tried to talk about this more with the HR committee first, but unfortunately time was of the essence, so that's why I just brought it tonight.
I think, like what you were saying, as far as police versus fire would be comparable. I have one lower than them, that being at a 16.
Could I ask the question, why do we have the one step between the two? I mean, to me, I think they're both very important.
Well, one gets shot at, the other one doesn't.
I mean, I'm just curious, why do we have that one step difference? I mean, why weren't they both maybe equal?
Good question.
To me, they're both very safety. I'm just not sure why it ever got passed that way or not. I don't know. Does anybody remember?
I definitely wasn't there.
I guess when we were looking at the comparative studies, it was half the communities out there had their police chief higher than the fire chief, by usually one pay grade. The other half of the communities had them equal. So it was one of those things. It was really a coin flip, and that's all I can really say. But I understand where you're coming from.
You always go up, you can't go down. And we're just got done talking about cutting money.
I didn't ask anybody to go down. I'm just curious of why that was ever.
Well, I'm not saying go down, but if you come in at a higher rate, you can't go back down. So you can always reassess it later and bump it back up if the committee says it so.
I mean, if we come in at that rate, is it comparable to other will this position be filled or will it be vacant again? I mean, will he accept the offer or not at the pay grade?
So,
You have to keep it around 85,000, because that's what you, advertised it as. And if you go lower than that.
So will the pay grade bring it in at 85,000?
yeah, so the good news is if the council chooses either pay grade 16 or 17, it's not going to actually really impact the offer because it just determines whether they come in at a step 7 or a step 6 or, you're talking, it doesn't really impact all that much under these circumstances. And once they're on the step, all the steps are 2% separated anyway, so this new candidate won't really be all that impacted, really, whether it's a pay grade 16 or a pay grade 17.
I make a motion to approve it, 16.
We have a motion to approve at pay grade 16. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve at pay grade 16. Any further questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Yes.
Carol Young,
Yes.
Ken Minell,
Yes.
Ron Dunwoody,
Yes.
Tim Sharota.
Yes.
Motion passed for new created assistant fire chief position at pay grade 16. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.